This week's show brought to you by SCAD, Scott Countyans Against Drugs. Welcome everybody to the Scott County Cardinals News Graphic Girls Basketball Coaches Show. Week 2 of the show, week 3 coming up of the season for the Lady Cards. They're 3-0 at this point and only have one game to talk about. Last week, the Scott County went to Lexington Catholic, jumped out to a big early lead. First time this year they had done that. The defense fed the offense, got some easy baskets inside with Kennedy Tompkins early in the game. Big first quarter, big first half really, as SC pulled out to a 30-point lead. Got the running clock early in the third quarter and cruised to the 79-41 victory. Puts them at 3-0 in the season, as we mentioned. Excited coach Steve Helton because it was the only game of the week, and that gives him a week to work on things in practice. He loves practice. Players don't love practice as much. Coaches, they love practice. And they got to look at some of the film from the defense early in the season. I think everybody would agree that defense has not been the strong point for the Lady Cards so far. Gave them a week to practice again against each other, and hopefully that will translate to what is a very busy second half of December schedule. It begins with 3 games this week in 4 nights. We'll start with the game that's probably already happened by the time you see this, as the 42nd District schedule opens with a trip to Henry Clay, opened on Tuesday night this week. It should be a game the Lady Cards should win. They won it handily twice last year in the regular season. Hard-fought battle in the district championship game, won by SC as they pulled away in the second half. Most of that Henry Clay team has moved on, the exception being Kaya Thompson, the college-bound. She'll be playing at the next level, certainly averaging 27 points a game. And she'll be a tough test, but I believe Scott County's strength, depth, overall number of weapons in that game will be too much for Henry Clay to handle at this point in the season. And let's project them as 4-0 going into back-to-back home games on Thursday and Friday, as SC will host Boone County. Now, we know the history of the Northern Kentucky opponents for SC has been a little up and down, whether they come here or whether the Lady Cards go up there. It's been a different type of challenge. You think about Ryle, Simon Kenton, Boone County. First game against Walton Verona this year was no picnic. There's just something about those teams. They have the right mix of being able to shoot from outside and get physical with SC, and it causes some problems. But again, a little bit of a comfort level at home. Good chance in those back-to-back games for the Lady Cards to get on a roll and show the home fans what it's all about. As it was kind of a strange situation. Their last home game was on a Sunday at noon, so kind of a small crowd that day. Really the first home stand of the season, as they will back up the Boone County game with Frederick Douglass on Friday night. And the reason we want to mention that one most of all is because it is our News Graphic Game of the Week, second game of the week, first one for the girls, and it should be a good showcase game. I don't think Frederick Douglass poses much of a threat to Scott County, so you get a chance to see what Morgan DeFore, Malia Owens, Malaya Williams, Kennedy Tompkins, Braylon McMath, the point guard Juliet Smith has been off to a huge start this season. She had a big game at Lexington Catholic. You get a chance to see what all those players bring to the table in a game where, honestly, the team should have the upper hand from the get-go. So, 3 games this week, maybe not the toughest stretch, but certainly gets them accustomed to what's coming, because that's kind of a tournament-level cadence when you have 3 games in 4 days, 3 games in 5 days, whatever it may be. And they'll get plenty of exposure to that sort of slate this December, because they'll have a few days off, then go to the Doc Maples Classic down in Bristol, Tennessee. That's the weekend before Christmas. Then they'll come back, get to spend the holiday with their families, and then head out to Palm Beach for the National Classic down there. So the opponents are going to get a lot tougher. The importance of playing that hard-nosed defense, being able to get that press working. It hasn't worked the way we thought it would this early in the season, but Coach Helton is confident that they have the horses to do that. It's just a matter of getting everybody up to speed and playing unselfishly. And we'll see what the Lady Cards can do this week to that extent. We talked to Coach Helton about some of those issues. Takes a little different tactic to motivate a new team every year. You think of this team as being veterans, and they are, with 4 players that started last year, but graduated 6 seniors and It's just a different group, different mentality, different ways that you need to address situations and get them fired up. And we talked to Coach about that, talked about the schedule that's ahead. Let's hear what Coach Helton had to say. The Lexington Catholic game was Scott County's best first quarter of the early season.
Quick start. We came out. I think some of the girls talked about, defensively we were more active, I think that kind of dictated the game, and we had to get in the flow too. It was, it was called really tight. I mean, we were in foul trouble early, and we had to adjust, and we had to pull back some of our pressure. But I think our deflections got us going. We hit a few shots, got out in transition. And then, once somebody hits a shot, it just builds. I mean, Juliet went off, and, I believe she had what seemed like 20 in a row, but, I think stats came back to, 11, 10 in a row, whatever she had. But, it was a good road win. Tradition-wise, Catholic Scott County go back, and, former player on the bench, Madison Webb, she knew everything we were going to run. So it was great to see her and to see her successes, as well as our team got a lot of people playing time. We got to running clock fairly early, because that was my focus. Let's get out there and let's get ready for practice for the next 5 to 6 days.
Coach Helton is still trying to learn how to best motivate his team.
And that's I told him I've got to figure out what buttons to push. It's early in the season. It's a different team. I don't care, if you have 10 returning, if you have 3 returning. It's a different team. Every year's different, and I've got to figure out what buttons to push. Some teams you got to come in and, just to be honest, you got to rip them before you start warm-ups. And some teams you got to come in and you got to dance, or you got to relax them, or you got to just be factual with them and tell them, hey, we should come out here and do this, and just go play. So I'm learning this team. It's a learning process for me. And I've not figured it out yet. We're just 3 games in, so it's not like we figured it out. Check, we're ready to move on. It's right now we're going to get ready for a really intense week, on the road at Henry Clay, and then get to finish off a little homestand back-to-back Thursday and Friday.
Despite the return of 4 players who started last year, the Lady Cards have shown some different looks so far.
No team's alike. I mean, you can compare and you can say, well, this player here. And years ago, I would really look back and say, oh, well, this team's just like this team, or this team's like this team. It's not. Every team's different. The kids get better over the summer. Kids improve. Their skill sets change. They get bigger, get stronger. Their knowledge of the game improves. So every year, those teams change, and we have to change a little bit with our philosophies. I've always believed in man-to-man full-court press. Well, you see now, we very rarely go to an all-out full-court man-to-man. Now we're a lot more of a zone, and we'll match up man-to-man out of it some. But we've had to change, and you have to do that with each year's team. You got to find out what makes them go. You got to find out what they buy into. And then you kind of got to tweak it along the way. I mean, it's all, I say it every year, it's just a dress rehearsal. Regular season is to see where we're at. We're 3 games in. We're nowhere near where I think we could be.
3 games in 4 days will make this week a challenging stretch.
Henry Clay is going to be a huge game just because it's a seeding purpose. Because you want that seed coming in. And also, it sets the tone, for your district. Henry Clay is young, but they still return one of the best players in the region. They have got a couple of the younger kids of the region who are very talented. And I said this last week. Eric knows what we're going to run, and we have an idea of what they're going to run. So it's just come out and tomorrow night on the road, and let's play. We're going to try to push a few more buttons before the game, but it's going to be a great atmosphere. I mean, there's going to be several universities and colleges in attendance who've already called and said, hey, we're coming in to watch. It's great for the kids, though, because it's Henry Clay. And last year's district game, it left a bad taste in my mouth because we knew coming in kind of what the game plan they had, and they executed well. And it took us a while, so I anticipate the same type philosophy from them. They lost a lot of kids too, though, so I'm trying to learn their new roster. They've got a new roster much like we do, so it'll be a battle on the road. Then we get to play home finally here back-to-back against Boone County, who's going to come in and just be scrappy as all get out. And then here we go, another district game before the break with Frederick Douglass, which again, it's seeding purposes right there. And, we always want to take care of the district.
Northern Kentucky foes such as Boone County have been a challenge for the Lady Cards.
They're physical. They get up in you. Last year at Boone County, it was a tremendous game. Our JV, Tara's had very few games that are close. And even the home opener this year, it wasn't close until the end there when some substitutions were made, and she learned some things too. But that was one of the games on our schedule last year, JV wise, that Boone County gave us everything we wanted. So we know coming in that's going to be a great test. And to be honest with you, I've not even looked ahead because we're trying to go game by game. And I know the girls were joking about the scouting report. Right now, the scouting report's about us. It's so young in the season, we're not really worried about what everybody else is doing because they don't know what they're doing either. We've got to worry about us.
All right, that was Coach, and hasn't always had a smile on his face after games. He did after the Lexington Catholic game. He thought it was a step in the right direction. I think if you were there, you would probably agree. Especially, it was the first game where had the lead in the first quarter. First game they had a running clock, so the Lady Cards were definitely headed in the right direction against an opponent that's a traditional power, as he said. Last week we talked to the two seniors, only two seniors on this team. Guess what? There are only two juniors on this team as well, and they're both going places. Morgan DeFore, she's been a big factor since middle school in this program. She's capable of 15, 16, more than that, really, points a game. She's very streaky. When she hits one shot, she usually hits another. And Malaya Williams, got to talk about her for a minute because this week alone, you're going to see scouts. You'll see some different logos on shirts from maybe fans you don't recognize if you go to a Lady Cards game. Louisville, Georgia, Purdue, Wisconsin, all sending scouts to check out presumably Malaya this week as she's getting a lot of attention nationally. Let's see what Morgan DeFore and Malaya Williams had to say. The Lady Cards are honest about their biggest weakness so far.
So far, I think we've been doing good, except we could work on defense with the rotations and whatnot, but that'll come during the season. But right now, we're off to a good start.
I think we're doing pretty good, and I think we should step up on defense a lot.
Morgan DeFore says Scott County is still figuring out its individual roles.
Yeah, I think since we lost all those seniors, it's going to take a little bit to get the feel for this new team, and then we'll soon get the rotations we need.
I feel like the more we talk, the more we'll get our good rotation. So it's like, if we talk, then there's nothing they can do. We just play selfish defense a lot.
SC earned its first running clock of the season at Lexington Catholic.
Our defense actually went well with the press. We got a lot of deflections and we actually started taking it to the basket more than we did start shooting threes. So I think we attacked more off the steals we got.
Malaya Williams' size and developing skill in the post will only make SC stronger as the season goes on.
We have 6'2" in the post, and then you have some of the best guards out on the wing. I think it's just either way. You have either come out, we throw it in, you throw it in, we go out.
I just want to help the team out and get to the championship.